Hello everybody and welcome to another Borderless video. This is James and I'm going to do another video in my vacation rental series. Today I wanted to talk about the differences between subletting, meaning renting out long-term, and then vacation renting out a place and making money from the difference, or arbitrage, the managing other people's properties, or owning your own property and then doing it as a vacation rental. So what are the pros and cons for these three strategies? People, a lot of people say that the subletting thing is not good. Other people say it's much better than owning. So I'm just the way I look at it, there's pros and cons to all these different strategies. So I'm going to talk a little bit about those. So first of all, we start out with upfront investment. All right, so you have to bring money to the table. So the easiest way to get into the vacation rental business is by managing other people's properties. Then it takes no upfront investment. You could even just become a co-host on Airbnb with somebody, and that'll get you in the game. You're making a little bit of money. You do have to bring a little bit more if you're going to be subletting, because you are more than likely going to be furnishing it. You're going to be doing some things to the property to make it ready to be rented. And so you have some upfront investment, but not as much as if you're owning. Which you're owning, you are bringing the down payment, presumably. There are ways that you can buy homes without a down payment, but you're going to have to do the down payment and the furniture. So in the traditional buying situation, I understand that there are ways you can negotiate different things in order to not have a down payment or get another loan for the down payment or something like that. But I'm just talking about kind of a simple cut and dry idea here. And the next thing that we can talk about is control of strategy. What do I mean by control of strategy? I mean, the strategy of what you're going to do with this property. Maybe it makes sense for you to do 2-week rather than 1-day rentals. Maybe it makes sense that you want to stay there for a little while. Maybe it makes sense that you want to bring the prices up and down depending on a lot of things. So do you have control over that? When you are managing it for someone else, they are probably going to be looking at it. They're going to be talking with you about that. So you have a little less control over strategy. Possibly you have an owner that lets you do what you want, but there's a possibility that they're going to want to, weigh in on how much you're renting it for, or if you can use it, or, how you want to do it. So there's a lot of different scenarios where the owner of the property is not going to allow you to do what you want, or you're going to have to pass it by them. So I'm going to put a mark against managing for control of strategy. Subletting is better. Subletting, when you're renting it, it's basically yours, and the owner, once they've agreed to let you sublet it, they have no say over whether you stay there, whether you're going to rent it out, whether you're going to rent it out long-term, short-term, whatever you're going to do with it. Another option is doing house swaps. So maybe you want to go somewhere and it would be cheaper for you to house swap a house that you're subletting, and then to go and rent somewhere else. So I would say that subletting, you do have more control, and so I'm going to put a check mark there. And obviously, if you own the property, you can do whatever you want to. You can start and stop renting it out when you want. You can use it how you want to, and so I'm definitely going to put a positive check mark there. All right, so then you have cash flow risk. All right, so one thing that is not great about subletting, and one reason that it's seen as risky, is that if you don't rent it as you think you're going to do, you could do a market analysis, but something happens, it's not renting on the channels that you're renting it on, you're not getting a high occupancy, you still have to come up with that monthly rent. So that can be a problem. It's say that there's a slow season for whatever reason. If you have a bunch of places that you're subletting, you've got rents that long-term rents that you're having to pay each month. So you could run into a problem with that. So I am going to put an X there. Managing, you don't really have that problem. You're taking a percentage out of whatever the property makes. So in the good times you're making a good percentage, and the bad times you're making a bad percentage. So I'm going to put a check mark there. And now, as far as owning, that depends if you buy it if you build it or you buy it cash, then no, you have no cash flow risk. Although you're risking the income if you're in need of the income to come in. I mean, that could be something. But another thing is that you could have a mortgage. So if you have a mortgage, then that's the same thing as paying a monthly rent. You have this nut that you have to come up with each month. So if something happens and it's not running out, and you have a loan on that property, then that could be. So I'm going to put a kind of in the middle there. And control of property. What I mean by that is, do you have control to change it, do maintenance, do upgrades? There's a lot of things that a vacation rental property is going to be different than a property you're going to be staying in. Maybe you want to put signs in different places. You want to put parking signs and do painting and I don't know. There's all kinds of things that you could think of that you may want to continuously update or all this type of stuff. And so with managing somebody else's property, although they are going to pay for it, which is good, you do have to run it by them. You're not able to make all the decisions quickly as you would with other things. So you have it's ultimately at the discretion of the owner. And obviously in your contracts you're going to have something that says something under $100, $200 or more, you can just go ahead and do, and you don't have to run it by the owner. But on any major things that you want to change to the property or things like that, they have control of the property. You don't have any control of the property. So in that aspect, I'm going to put managing as a negative. I'm going to put renting as kind of a negative positive because there's a lot of things that you can't do, but you can do changes. You have a lot more things that you can do to the property if you're going to be, you rented it for 3, 4, 5 years. That you don't necessarily have to run by the owner, but obviously owning, you can do pretty much whatever you want. So you're going to have a lot more control over the property, the maintenance, and all that stuff yourself. All right. Tax deductions, I don't want to get too much into the weeds with this, but I'm just going to say that there are a lot of tax deductions, a lot of tax advantages with owning property, and not so much with managing or subletting. So I'm just going to put that there. Building equity, again, this is the reason that people love real estate, is because of the tax deductions and equity that you're building. And so, that's for owning. With owning, you're building equity, and you're not doing that when you're managing for somebody else. They're building equity. And when you're subletting, you're not doing that. Another thing is your personal credit. So, it's not a big deal to use your own credit, but if you're putting a lot of stuff on your credit, it's going to add up. It's something to think about. If you don't have good credit, then that's going to take a lot of these options off the table for you. So let's see. With subletting, do you need to use your own credit? Sometimes you do. Sometimes a lot of places, especially in the States, everybody wants to see your credit, and you have to do a whole thing. Other countries or other places, some places in the States too, you can just do a cash rental and give them a deposit, and they don't do a credit check. So I'm going to put a middle one because sometimes yes, sometimes no. Managing, you do not use your own credit. And owning, right, you're going to be using your own credit. Okay. So these are some main things. This is not everything. I just ran through this real quick. And let me just get this off here real quick. And, basically, the way I look at it, if you're just starting out and you're trying to get in the business, you need to make money, then managing is the quickest way to get started. Subletting, you make a little bit more, but here's the pros and cons with those two. So, if you just need to get up and running, making some money, you could even do managing, part-time. It might be tough sometimes because you're going to get calls during the day, so maybe you need to have somebody help you if you have a day job, something like that. But you can get, just like I said, probably the quickest way ever to get into vacation rentals, other than getting a job in a hotel or something, or a boutique hotel or something like that. It would be manage, be a co-host on Airbnb, and then learn how to manage, meaning get their property on other platforms, learn about maintenance, learn how to do it, get more into managing other people's properties. You can get into subletting, or you can rent out properties that you're already subletting. I know somebody that did that with a ton of properties. They were managing a lot of properties, and it just was there for a lot of different reasons. It made more sense for them to just pay a monthly amount to the owners, which is in effect subletting. They're just paying a rent each month. So they switched everything over to subletting. So you can look at that. You can maybe do half and half because of the cash flow risk that I talked about. Maybe diversify a little bit. You normally do make more money with subletting than you do with managing. But I think that it's a good idea to have your long-term strategy be owning properties that you're managing yourself. And there's lots of reasons for that, especially specifically building equity and the tax deductions that you get. So this is the way that I see it. If you would like to give me your feedback, let me know what you think. And if there's anything that I missed, let me know about that. And this is just a quick rundown. So I hope that you enjoyed it. If you have any questions or anything to say, please just leave it in the comments, and visit the website at borderlessblog.com if you would like me to help you. I do consultations at the website. You can find my link for that. So thanks for watching, and have a good day.
Borderless.